everyone, and welcome to SAF Ready the Podcast here at the University of Waterloo. On this podcast, we'll have a variety of guests, students, faculty, and staff to let you all in on what the School of Accounting and Finance has to offer. I'm Sam, and I'll be your host. We want to ensure that you're hearing everything that you want to know about the School of Accounting and Finance. So after listening to this episode, feel free to DM us on our variety of social chains, as well as send us an email at saf@uwaterloo.ca with any more questions, topics, or people that you want to hear from. Tune in soon for our next episode on Buzzsprout, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Honestly, any platform that offers a podcast, we're most likely there. Today, we have Dr. Jennifer Lynes Murray. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi.
And she's here to talk about our latest addition to the School of Accounting and Finance, the Sustainability and Financial Management program. Alrighty, so we're just going to dive right in here. So how long have you been a part of the university, and kind of like what's your role now?
Yeah, so I've been here since 2004, so I'm coming up to almost 20 years.
Oh my goodness,
yes,
that's exciting.
And when I first started, I was hired to be part of the Environment and Business program. So I was the first official hire of that program, which started way back then. And now I'm co-director of the Sustainability and Financial Management program. And prior to that, I spent 6 years as director of the Environment and Business program.
That's so cool. That's amazing. So yeah, I guess the main question really is, what's sustainability and financial management?
For me, sustainability and financial management is the future of accounting and financial management. So students do a lot of the same things that you would do in an accounting degree. In fact, about 50% of their courses are AFM courses, so accounting courses. 25% are what we call integrated courses. So they sort of integrate sustainability and financial management together. And then the remaining 25% are environment courses, and you do get a few electives, not many, but a couple of electives at the end.
Oh, that's fun.
So the benefits of being a joint program between the Faculty of Environment and the School of Accounting and Finance is that you get the best of resources of both those faculties. We've both been doing this for a long time. Like I said, we've been doing environment and business for 2 decades now.
Oh, wow.
So that integrated approach is something that really sets us apart. We're the only program of its kind in Canada that offers this combined degree. And the other good side is that the course content meets the requirements for the CPAO, the Chartered Professional Accounting of Ontario. And so that means that you can work, there's two pathways. You can work towards your CPA or CFA. And we have 3 different specializations. So there's lots of ways to fine tune, and there's lots of different things you can do with your degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And for students who are not 100% sure what those 2 mean, it just means that when you graduate, you can work towards those 2 designations, so that when you graduate, and if you want to be a professional accountant, you have to get work to those designations. But these programs are really nice because they kind of directly impact that way through it, because you have to do a certain amount of working hours as well as studying hours. And these programs are great because they take some of that time away. So you would be taking a lot less years off of trying to get that designation. So if you weren't sure about what those mean, that's kind of that spiel right there. So yeah, if you want to go into a little more detail, what are the specialties that they can work towards?
So there's one on corporate sustainability, and the other one is more financial management and governance. And then we have a third one that we're going to be starting to offer soon on Indigenous entrepreneurship, which is really exciting.
Oh,
as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they get to do they pick those, and when did that kind of that decision process kind of happen?
Yeah, so our first cohort of students is they're selecting it literally right now.
Oh,
the
yeah.
next couple of weeks. So that would be the end of their second year. So the first 2 years are the same no matter what specialization you're doing. And then 3rd and 4th years, that's where you choose your specialization, and your courses become more tailored to that as well.
Oh, that's really nice. Because then you get that more that introductory, especially because I know that myself at 18, I was I have no idea for sure what's going to be my future. So it's kind of nice that you get that introductory, and then you get a chance to at a university level to explore what you want to do, which is nice. And then you get to really tailor your education, and it's not too broad, because I feel you want to find that happy medium when it's not too generalized, so you're not learning everything you want to learn and it feels like high school and you're why am I taking this course? I don't need to take this course. So it's nice to have that expansion when you get to those later years, which is so super, super cool.
And just if I could add a point onto that, because this is our second cohort that's just finishing their first year. So it's a new program. And we're still learning how to frame things, I guess, for the students, because in our minds we're clear on the pathway, but we have to make sure that we're making that clear as well to the students that are in the program. And one comment that they had was related to like, oh, I feel like I'm taking a lot of environment courses. Like, when am I going to be taking accounting courses? But it's sort of designed that way to give you the sustainability as a foundation. And then in, second, third, fourth year, you really get into the accounting. And you're taking a lot of the same courses that you would if you're taking an accounting degree, plus all the other ones.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So you get that like best of both worlds, which is nice because you get to like, you have that like kind of that extra, I want to say like edge kind of when you're getting into that, especially now with like so many like industries wanting to put that green foot forward. And like people are paying a lot more attention now to companies like understanding of their sustainability and their aspects of their business practices. It really kind of gives you that leg up because you kind of have like the understanding of two different people who would have just been like environment or business, and I kind of have the mesh of both, which is super fun. So that actually leads right into the next question was, can you briefly describe the industry changing and how SFM is at like the forefront of new business world?
Well, just like a couple of weeks ago, the ISSB, which is the International Sustainability Standards Board, officially issued their inaugural standards. If I want to get technical here, it's the IFRS S1 and S2.
Okay.
So these are new sustainability standards that are going to come into play, and everybody's kind of been waiting to see what are these standards going to look like. So these are new standards that accountants and financial management will need to be able to translate into action and metrics. And
cool.
So forth. So that's really exciting, and that's exactly what our program is designed to do and to help organizations with. So like the future is here. Like I've been doing this for a long time in terms of combining sustainability and business together, but now I feel like everything is coming to a head. It's not just like in previous decades we've seen sort of waves of sustainability come and go, but here I think it's here to stay. We know the issues are real and we need to do something about it. And a huge missing piece has been the financial component. So I read something there was an article in The Economist that there's like on average 2 ESG funds that are launched every day.
Really?
So it's just growing. There's like over $50 trillion invested in ESG funds, and that just, keeps on growing.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know. We had one of the students come on the episode like a few weeks ago, and she was talking about how like for auditing she does like she did like an auditing competition, and they were talking about ESGs and like they're like the ideas, and like that's what like put them over the edge was the winning of like for just like simply like fashion. Like if you want to go shopping and want to see an ESG rating, like it's becoming so popular. And I think it's so important too, like now that it's like in business practices, because like I feel like everyone wants to be sustainable, but not everyone's like, oh, I gotta like start doing it and like actually like do it. So when it's like being put right in our faces and like we can actually like do it ourselves now, I feel like that's just gonna like push it over the edge and make it a lot more effective.
Yes, and that's definitely where we need to go. But the issue is that we don't have enough people out there that know how to do this.
Exactly.
And when it comes to metrics and measuring, and generally we're finding that ESG, so that's environmental and social governance, corporate governance, is lacking like transparency. And that's on the marketing side as well as the numbers side. So both of those need to be in place, and people need to be able to trust companies and actually see what they're doing. So if they want to, invest in a green company, like what is it exactly that's sustainable about your organization?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, it just kind of moves through. Now we're just kind of diving back into the like the program itself. So would you say that there's like opportunity to work towards like different areas of accounting and finance? Or like when you hear the title like sustainability and financial management, I think it's like a perception that the students are like, oh, it's just finance. But is there like room to play and kind of like where you can go with those specializations and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned before, we have these 3 specializations. So those are areas that you can specialize in. But as for what you do afterwards, it doesn't mean that ties you into being an accountant or a financial manager. I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities in terms of consulting, for strategy related to ESG, sustainability roles in organizations. So if you find like while you're doing your degree, oh, I don't know if I actually want to be, what we call a bean counter, a green bean counter. But I want to do something else. I think this degree will really give you like that edge and that range. And no matter what you do in life, like having some financial background and accounting, like even for your everyday life,
it's never going to be a bad thing.
No.
I remember like learning what just the basics of what an accountable spreadsheet was. And
yes.
I was like, this is just going to make budgeting my life so much easier. Mm-hmm. Even just like in my university years, which is so good.
Day-to-day accounting, investing, saving money.
I know everyone's hearing about like, oh, your money's not money if it's just sitting in a bank account and so all this stuff. But so as some of you may or may not know, SFM is a newly recent program. We just were talking about how our first cohort is entering their second year.
Our very first sort of pilot cohort is going into their third year / their second work term.
Okay, yeah. So it is often can leave students wondering where they can go after graduation. So what are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. So they can go many different directions. And, some of the specializations, like in corporate sustainability, can lead to, corporate, like eventually CSO, like a corporate sustainability officer. Or you could, as I mentioned, do consulting, strategy consulting, corporate accounting and finance. You could work in capital markets. Or maybe nothing to do with finance and management. Maybe you want to start your own company, and all of this is going to help you. And if you decide you want to do that, the University of Waterloo also has a lot of resources available to help you with startups and so forth.
Yeah, what's it? Velocity, is that
Velocity,
what it's called? Yeah.
And we also have Greenhouse, which is specific to social enterprise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Just
I go here. I should know that.
It's based at a United College.
Oh, okay.
Just across the Laurel Creek there.
Yep.
So they've had some great startups come through there as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When you're focusing on the environment specifically alone, it can be like we want to take the business out of it because we want to feel like we're just like fully focused on the environment. But the reality is if we're going to make a move, I think in real life, like everything, unfortunately, comes back down to the dollar. So you got to really like, it's nice that it's something that blends the two of them and actually like puts the reality of what the real world is experiencing versus just what we want the world to be.
Yeah. And that we often talk in, some of the foundational courses for sustainability. We've got these it's like the three-legged stool or the three pillars where you have social, environment, and financial. So the financial component is really important to sustainability from a number of different angles. So, we really need to keep that balance. Of looking at the three of them. So if we just look at them on separate courses, that's not really going to see, like we're not going to be able to see how
they can expand.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about? I know I was going to kind of go in a little bit about the co-op jobs, or do you have kind of more background information, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, so far the first cohort, they completed their first co-op term this past winter.
Oh yeah, because they're heading into it's like 2B you start. No, yeah, 2B you start.
They're on campus now, and so they all got jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was great, and a variety of some in consulting, some like with the Big Four, some with small sort of boutique accounting firms, some specifically doing stuff related to ESG. And I think like students have to keep in mind just in general, no matter what program you're in, your first co-op job might not be exactly what you think you're going to get. It's just an initial experience. And then, and I'm not saying that the students weren't able to get the jobs that they wanted, but it sort of evolves as you go up through, your four different co-op terms you have, you become more specialized. So the first one might be a little bit more general than some of your upper year ones. But all the students seemed super happy with their co-op experiences. And I guess if I had to say anything else about the program generally, like I've been here before in the sense of I've been part of programs that have started from the ground up.
Yeah.
And back in the early 2000s when we were starting the environment and business program, we had a lot of interest in the program from the students. What we found harder was trying to get employers on board, like to hire as co-op students because I might have been used to
the more typical
business, or a lot of the jobs were like they'd actually hire management science or engineering students. So this part of the students when they were doing their interviews was actually trying to convince the employer that they knew more than they were better suited for the job than an engineer.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of the opposite. What I'm finding with this program is that there's going to be no problem in finding a job after you graduate from this program.
Oh yeah.
Because especially with these new standards, like the consulting companies, financial companies, accounting, insurance, they're all looking for people with this expertise. So that is not going to be an issue. They're just basically, when we talk to them, like, this is amazing. When are they going to finish the program?
Like they're like, we're ready to hire. Who needs a contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting the word out there. With any new program, there's always there's little wrinkles here and there. But like the first two cohorts that we've had so far have been amazing. I love them. It's kind of reignited my love for teaching. They're just so enthusiastic, and they're pioneers, right? They're going to be the future leaders. So
yeah,
my tagline, which I haven't, this is like you've heard it here first because I haven't launched it.
Big launch drop. Woo woo.
In my head, the tagline for SFM is like, the future of accounting and financial management starts here.
Ooh, yeah, very like to the point, very bold. I love it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, no, because it's nice too. Like it's kind of, I think that a lot. So like we think about like the general university being like, oh, there's like 1,000 kids. I'm a number. No one cares. I think that's really cool that SFM's still kind of like a smaller cohort. So they really get to know each other and get to know their profs. Like I had a bunch of students on it. We did a Q&A session, and they were talking about how they like after class will just go and talk up to the professors, and like they're like on like good, like, talking terms. They're able to like bring up to their concerns, not just about that class, but like general life and general classes as well, which I think is like not a rarity in university, but it can feel like one. Like you feel like you're very like one of the many. Whereas like, I feel like what I've been gathering from SFM is that you're not, like, you're all like kind of like a family in a sense. Like you were just saying, like you know all of them, you love them, they're like enthusiastic. Like I feel like I wouldn't be connected to like a larger, like the director of a massive faculty, but like I feel like you get that like one-on-one connection with like your faculty and staff, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. We're still we're small. We're each cohort we're aiming for about like 40 or 50 students. So that's a really good size that I get to know all of them. I teach their first foundational course in SFM, Introduction to Sustainable Finance.
Oh, okay.
And I just by the end of the term we had little pizza get-togethers, and I think next week we're trying to organize like a table tennis / ice cream social before the end of the summer.
Oh, fun!
So try to get more use of those table tennis tables, I guess, that are in front of the quad, in the quad.
Oh yeah.
Because you can go into the library and borrow the paddles, but I don't know if a lot of people know that. So
I know, I feel like, do I have to bring my own?
No.
Now I know that.
The faculty, as faculty, we sometimes do that at lunchtime, just a quick 15-minute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh,
and you get to see the competitive people that, you wouldn't think.
Going at it.
The ones that do bring their own paddles are like, oh.
Like the gloves on. I know, like my uncle, he wears like that one that like goes around his neck, and we're like, his forehead, and we're like, oh.
That's intense.
Yeah. He's like ready to go. No, that's super fun. Yeah, no, I love that. Really great. Very big side note, but I think that SFM is super awesome because my personal favorite buildings on campus are the Enviro buildings. They are so pretty and so nice. I love going in like that, like the outdoor quad space, like the one where it's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Enviro 2. It's like that nice little study space. So
the courtyard?
Yes, the courtyard.
Yeah, in Environment 1, we have a courtyard, which has a beautiful green wall or living wall in front of it. And yeah, just a really great place to study, and we have events there. And then Environment 3 was one of the first LEED Platinum certified buildings of Ontario universities.
Oh, cool.
When it was built, and it is really an amazing place to work in. My office is in there, and it's so bright and sunny. And there's another living wall, which, like, to be honest, got a little bit damaged during COVID, just from lack of love. But
hopefully
we're bringing it back on track.
There we go.
But yeah, it's a great place to have classes in and things like that.
Yeah, I know, being in the environmental building is definitely a huge plus with SFM, because it's nice to also have that breakup of space, because I know that the AFM program's on one building, so it's nice to have a little bit of separation there too.
Yeah, and we found, like, the SFM students have really been encouraging them to hang out there. There's lots of good study spaces, and I see them, like, gathering little groups, which is great, so that we want them to feel like they've got two homes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also nice, because I think that's also another point I was going to bring up, is that, like, the students don't feel disconnected from AFM. I find that, like, most of the SFM students, like, we have our own space, but we also are, like, fully integrated into the AFM, like, cohort, because obviously that's where, like, the 400 plus kids are going for the majority of those classes. So it's nice that they still feel really connected, but also feel like they have their own space to be within their program too, which is really cool.
Yeah, and there's a little, like, quiet undertow of competitiveness, I think, between the two. The SFMs and the ASM.
The battling it out.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. Competitiveness is not bad.
No.
As long as it's not taking people down.
No.
That's all we care about.
All in good fun.
All in good fun. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And if you guys want to tune in next week, we're going to have Ethan on here, who is a current SFM student. So you're going to get both perspectives. So that'll be really, really cool.
Ethan's awesome.
See, she knows Ethan too. Like, we got all the connections. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.